I recognize some of you from several months ago, and some of you I have not met before, but welcome. And as John said, I did come and share briefly in June about this opportunity to do entrepreneurial leadership training in Rwanda. I've had a gentleman there, I'll just go to the next slide. Christophe and Diana Mboningambo. They're obviously Rwandan, and they have a ministry called Karsa, which I think I shared with you before. I'm just going to pull up a photograph here so I can read the slide. Karsa stands for Christian Action for Reconciliation and Social Assistance. And they do a phenomenal work post-genocide. So they work with the victims and the perpetrators of the genocide that happened in 1994, which really was devastating for the country. Over 1 million people died in 2 months, and people still are dealing with the effects of that, as you can imagine. And I wanted to read their mission statement. Karsa exists to serve the people of Rwanda in supporting their journey toward healing, forgiveness, reconciliation, and sustainable holistic development. And that's where we come in, the holistic, sustainable development piece. And asked us to come in and do this training. And this is just one aspect of what they do. There's a population, a minority population there of Pygmies. They're a very small tribe, and they have a village close to where we did the training. We did the training on a farm because we wanted it to be kind of a laboratory where they could experiment. There's like 8 different projects that they're doing there, all related to farming. And so the people that came for the training had, viable options to even consider in terms of chickens, raising chickens, or mushrooms, or all kinds of different things like that. So we did it on a farm. Near the farm was this village. This is actually a huge improvement to what the people there have. They have just these grass and mud huts. So Karsa, one of the things they're doing is they're helping the Pygmies there who get no social assistance from the government. They have no education programs. They're really at the bottom of the barrel, if you will. But Karsa has developed relationships with them. And this home right here, they were just about finished with for a widow and her children. Her orphan. She's a widow, and she's got, I think, 6 children. So quite an amazing thing there. This is one of the gentlemen here from the Pygmy village. They sent a team of 5 people who came and got the training with us. This is one of the programs I mentioned, and I'll mention it again briefly. It's called Cows for Peace. What Karsa does is they take a victim of the genocide, like this woman, and the perpetrator of either killing her husband or her children. So it's a direct perpetrator of the violence. Bring them together. You can imagine it's very difficult, but after a week of a workshop there, after much counseling, after a lot of small group interaction, etc., and discussions, sometimes the victim and the perpetrator say, okay, we want to work together. We want to figure this out. And so they give them a cow. The cow is something that they have to raise together until it produces a calf. And then they're free to go their separate ways. What's amazing, though, this woman went from wanting to avoid seeing this guy at all costs. He got out of prison, and now he's back in the same village. So she's absolutely scared to death to run into him again. She thinks he might even do another violent act or something. So she's terrified. She lives with anger and bitterness when she even thinks about this guy. He's afraid to go outside because he might run into her, and then she's going to, put some new charges on him or something. He'll have to go back to prison. So complete avoidance and, personally traumatized to where they're raising a cow together. He's now coming to her house in the morning. She sees him coming down the path. She puts on the tea water. She has some biscuits for both of them. He feeds the cow. They have a conversation and some tea and just talk about the day, etc., in their lives. You can imagine the difference that can make. So some of you helped with helping basically create a venue. So we had a building, and that was about it. You guys helped. Many of you helped with bunk beds. So we had about 18 people that could stay there the whole time. We actually put in a bathroom. There was just a cement slab with a hole in the ground. But you can see there's a shower with hot water, believe it or not, and toilet and sink. The food, you also provided finances for the food. So the food was amazing, as you can see, piled high on that plate. And you also help with transportation to get them there from all over the country. And then chairs, and these are curtains that have been put on the windows so we could have access to video projection and stuff and not have it be blown out by the sunshine. So all these details that you helped create a really successful time that we had there. Real briefly on a few things we did. We wanted it to be extremely interactive. Yeah, we did have principles to share and some teaching ideas and stuff, but for the most part, they participated in everything that we laid out there. Here's a trust exercise you might be familiar with, where you're called to just fall backwards. If any of you have done that, this is a pretty good sized ledge here that he had to fall backwards on, and so they loved that, and they really got the principles there. This is a 3-minute sales pitch on fidget spinners. Any of you guys heard of those? They're like the rage with all the kids. Well, I brought that to Rwanda. Nobody had seen it before. But I gave a couple of them about a minute to decide how they're going to sell that to us. And so they had 3 minutes to sell us a fidget spinner, which was great. Water bottle lamp. This Robin Munshaw. I should mention maybe the people that I went with. Robin Munshaw, a pastor at North Sound in Edmonds. And then a guy named Danny Siega, Dr. Danny Siega, has his PhD in aquaculture. Professor in northern Uganda, so he came down to do some of the teaching with us, so there was the 3 of us. But he's demonstrating how light, what they do is they put that water bottle in the ceiling, just cut a small hole in like a corrugated metal roof, seal it off, from the rain. But then just the sun shining from the top of this rooftop will light up the whole room, just simply with a water bottle. 30 uses for an orange. This was a lamp that we created. Just bringing ideas for them and then allowing their creativity to run rampant. So exciting. We had a business plan, a very simple business plan, that they spent the whole week putting together. So it was just like puzzle pieces that they started to work on. Why? Because at the end of our time, after 5 days, they, as a group, and there was 6 groups, as a group, they had to come up with a product and a service and everything detailed, the budget and everything. And then they had 30 minutes to present to us, and we did like a Shark Tank game with them. So, we had investors in the room, and they had to pitch their whole business plan to us. So it was very exciting. They got really excited about it. They put it on, big sheets of paper, and they spent lots of time working through all those details of the business plan. This is where they're actually presenting that final day. They even had props, to show us what their products were and what their services were. So that was really fun. And then at the end, we gave them a certificate of participation, just to show that they had gone through this with us. Many of them had never even gone to school. They'd never received any kind of training like that. So to them, that meant a lot. And that was Danny right there on the right-hand side from Uganda that I mentioned that we went with. And that was a certificate that we gave them. And there they are, the final photograph of everybody who'd received their participation. So how do we assess effectiveness? These are just some quotes that I heard, and I wrote them down when I was there. Where you're from, your teaching is based on principles. Where we're from, our teaching is full of stories. So we told a lot of stories. And we told a lot of their stories. Africans who had seen great success. TED Talks, done by Africans, etc. So they could see it's not just, oh, you're an American, of course you're successful. No. There's successful people all around the world, and there's different reasons for that, right? So they could really hone in on that. There was an African entrepreneur there that said, "This goat will become a cow tomorrow." So just having that forward thinking, like, yes, this is a means to an end in a sense, and tomorrow it's going to be even greater. And then a couple of quotes. This training has given me courage to work, taught me to develop myself, and to have confidence in myself. And for many of them, they just have a mentality of inferiority. They don't feel like they can do anything, etc. So having courage made all the difference. I used to have fear, but I've made the decision to start a business from the little I have. So those were all obviously music to our ears, right, to see the development that people received. Even by the end of the week, their mindset had begun to change. Venuste, real quickly on him, he was one of the participants that came. And after the first day, he went home. He was actually kind of debating whether or not to stay for the whole week. But after the first day, he went home to get more clothes and a few other things, and then he was going to come back. When he was home, he had an epiphany. He had been fearful of starting a business that he'd wanted to start. I mean, he had dreams to plant bananas and to grow about 400 banana plants. It'd take about a year to mature to a marketable size. But he was just afraid. He didn't think he could do it. But when after that first day, he went home and he got about 8 people from his village together, and he said, while I'm back at the training, I want you to dig holes, and I want you to put manure down, and I want you to prepare the field for 400 banana trees. So while he was back at the training, they were already beginning to work on that dream that he'd had and had so much fear before and didn't feel like he could do it. So to me, that's just another measure of, okay, is this being effective? Is this really helping? And to have a guy who's like, okay, I've been having this dream for years. I want to start this business. I'm going to start it today. That was really exciting to hear. So finally, planting the seeds of change. What can you do? Well, you can plant seeds, right? We all do that in our work. We plant seeds and we hope that they grow. We hope that people take them and that something happens from that. So we saw people go from poverty of mind to empowerment, from fear and failure to courage and success, from daily despair to hope for the future. And we really saw that when we work together for the greater good of the community, amazing things happen. So thank you so much for your participation in this. And if you have any other questions, I'll be around afterwards. Thanks, guys.